come after us will be the owners, subsequent owners of the land. So it concerns everybody. And by virtue of that, anything that affects the common heritage means it's a concern to third estate. That's the more reason why we have to delve into it. Now, what are the present challenges? Let me talk about communal lands first. Communal lands were being sold outrightly and indiscriminately to persons or bodies that doesn't share common ancestral background with the owners. E.g., large parcel of land sold in Asa, Moro, Ilorin East, Ilorin South, to bodies who are opposed to the values of the communities. For example, if we are familiar with Bala, no, not Bala, if you are going to oppose who succeed us, then what do? We'll be talking about some areas in Ilorin West as well. Let me start with Agaka axis. If you go to Agaka axis, virtually every point that is contiguous to the major road are owned by those who don't share our cultural beliefs, those who don't share our religious beliefs, those who don't share our societal method of behavior. And when you look at the proximity of this place to our mosque that we are all proud of, Ilorin Central Mosque, it will give you some concern. Now, when you now move further, you will see that the axis going towards Emirs Road is now being rapidly taken over. And you will remember that apart from the nitty-gritty of it, there are some areas that are giving serious concern. With due respect, I will cite an example. We all know Bayero royal family. It's a royal family in Ilorin. Go to Bayero royal house today, where they put the signboard, Bayero royal family. Just look on by the signboard. What you will see is a spare part shop, and that's the royal family. It is disheartening, and I believe that we need to do something about it. What are the implications? First, we all know what happened in Lagos recently. During the last general election, the non-indigenous who have dominated the town, including Isaleko of Lagos Island, Alimosho, Abu Odofin, decided to upturn the political arrangement of the indigenous. It's a concern. Apart from that, there could be possibility of not only a Gabriel or a Michael representing St. Agboro in the House of Assembly, but you may be surprised that a Chinedu or Chizoba or Chinyere will be representing Agbaji in future if care is not taken. I know that's what you say. But it's not Ausubillahi that will solve it. We need to work towards it. Similarly, I welcome our members of the State House of Assembly. Can you imagine if you have these people that I cited as example dominating the House of Assembly, and there is a bill concerning the putting on of turban or the use of public address system to deliver khutbah? What will be their contribution? Side wo ni wọ́n fẹ́ argue sí? Because it will be strange to them. What's in khutbah? But tó bá jẹ́ pé dáhìrì ni wọ́n, they will understand the importance of it or of the turban. Then another implication is on the discovery of deposits of mineral resources. Recently, there was an incident in Zamfara State. There was a village that was attacked twice by bandits. When they attack this village, they will run away, the villagers will return there. Again, they went to attack the place, the villagers ran away and came back. Not knowing that they've discovered rich minerals resources underneath that land. If you sell about 30 acres of your community land, either to a religious organization or to some organization that doesn't have anything to do with your community, and about 10, 15, 20 years after you have perfected the title documents, it was now discovered that you have valuable mineral resources. Who claims the money? Of course, after I said, you have lost the place. Sheikh Lukman Isalekoto, during his 2012 lecture at the IEDPU annual gathering, mentioned specifically ipe àdúrà táwọn bàbá wa ṣe sílé àfáà Alimi, atẹ́gùn tó ń fẹ́ sí west south west of it, gbogbo àwọn ibi tí south west jẹ́, àwọn àlejò ni wọ́n ń jàǹfààní ẹ̀ nítorí àwọn náà ń tajà bẹ́ẹ̀. The only person kan fílẹ̀ fáwọn èèyàn wa òun ni ìbílẹ̀ Balógun and ìsàlẹ̀ ọjà. After that, Agbo market is also no longer under our control. It's being inhabited and populated by people who are not natives of the Emirate. Furthermore, we all know or we are aware of last week's incident when somebody at Okeagini invited members of the public to celebrate Olosun festival. I mean, it's disheartening. Nílùú Àfààní wọ́n fẹ́ ṣọdún Olosun. Olosun is not Olosun. Olosun is different from Olosun. Yes. So now, whether Olosun or Olosun, is anyone relevant to us? It's even against our culture. It's against our religious belief. It's even an insult to our sensibility. So, but unfortunately, this woman is a landlady. She owns her house. She goes where she wants to do this festival. So ordinarily, she can rely on law to say that she's protected. That is why some people went and persuaded her to drop the idea. If she's just a tenant in that house, you can threaten that you will reject her immediately and give her quick notice. But she's not the prophet. These are things that we need to have behind our back. Then, dominance of business. If an Ilorin man owns a building and another Ilorin man goes there to rent a shop, Ilorin is a crescent or the Economy. By the time you say that Aburo Iyafata company, you will reduce the price, you will reduce the amount, and you'll be able to rent at a reasonable price that shop and do your business. But these are people that doesn't want competition. So having owned the building, if you say you want to rent a shop near where he is selling, he will definitely resist it. He will not allow you to have similar business few meters or kilometers away from where he is already dominating. And you know, when we talk about spare parts and some people, they have dominated it in the world, except we're deceiving ourselves. Now, another issue of concern is the speed at which our daughters are being accosted by these people. This may create confusion in the future, because it will lead to where somebody will come with a strange name and a strange background and now say that he's interested to be either Balogun Achikobi or Balogun. How is that okay? But you have to work against it. Now, what are the efforts that various people have made in the past. This time around, I want to single out IEDPU. IEDPU has been championing this cause since a very long time. I remember there was a time an ad hoc committee was set up by IEDPU to meet the Alanguas, the mortgages, and the Taurus to sensitize them and advise against outright sale of land. My humble self then, as the leader of Ilorin Emirate lawyers under the aegis of IDPU, I gathered all Ilorin lawyers to also sensitize and conduct seminars for our traditional title holders who have access to lands that always approach Ilorin lawyers if you want to draw up your agreement so that they can put protective clauses in that agreement. That was the area where we have churches springing up on every part of Bakoko especially and Adewale. But rather than following this advice, they were now giving these agreements to non-indigenous. Aki Babawa Ekabo. Aki Babawa Balogun Alanamu. The major problem were from individuals, the mortgages, the Alanguas who have lands. And there was a very sad incident of other people I've been given time, but Gbogbo wa la mọ̀ this problem. But before I go to the solution, let me just refer to Kwara State Legal Notice number 8 of 2009, which was to redesign virtually the entire Emirate into urban, urban areas. Some of us may not know about this. What that legal notice tend to do then was to strip us of even administration or management of this land, and it was taken over by the then Kwara State government. After we realized the negative implication, IEDPU started the battle and they fought it to the end, and at the end of the day, the following government, and with the assistance of all Emirate members in the then State House of Assembly, got the legal notice revoked in September 2012. It was a battle fought and won by IDPU. Kudos to them. Permit me just to mention some of the people that IDPU used. Late Honorable Justice Orire, Alhaji Eleke Jimo, Alhaji Nasiru Oniogi, Alhaji Yunusa Gada, Alhaji Waye Foloronsho, late Justice Imam Fulani, Alhaji Isa Malete, Alhaji Amir Adi, and Alhaji Mori Adi. Let me also commend the then members of Kwara State House of Assembly representing the Emirate. They did a human job in supporting IDPU. Congratulations to them. Now, we have analyzed all these problems. What is the solution? What I have here, I have what I call option A, B, and C. Option A is leaseholding. What do we mean by leaseholding? Leaseholding is a situation whereby you don't sell either land or building outrightly. It will be on leasehold for determined number of years, subject to regrant. Even the land that belongs to government under the Land Use Act, they are on lease holding, because after 99 years, you can go back for a grant to the state government and it will be regranted if you have not violated the conditions enumerated in the CFO or the RFO. Now, the advantage of this this leaseholding is very, very, very much. I hope I would have been happy if the Magajis and Alaguas who are selling land are in this hall. Bó ṣe ṣe rẹ̀ rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe talẹ̀ outrightly yìí sí tẹ́ bá ti ta gbogbo iye tó bá fún yín lórí ẹ̀ Mọ́gàjí àtàwọn tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ sì náà máa pín láàrin ara wọn ó ti tán. But if it is leaseholding, if you say for example it's leased for first 25 years or 30 years, Mọ́gàjí tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ sì àtàwọn sàwáwò ẹ̀ wọ́n pín owó yìí. Tí 25 years bá pé tọ́lọ́ bá ní Mọ́gàjí ní ló wà bẹ́ẹ̀ tó bá wá fún regrant, Mọ́gàjí ni ó tún benefit pẹ̀lú àwọn tó tún wà pẹ̀lú ẹ̀. So tí ẹni yẹn bá ti wá ṣàṣemáṣe lórí ilẹ̀ yẹn, you don't need to grant the regrant. Vacate ni. And tó bá vacate any structure tó bá ti fi sí orí ilẹ̀ yẹn ẹ ti jogún ẹ̀ nìyẹn. That is what the law says. So ó pé ju ká kọ̀ǹtà kakọ̀ wá gbé agreement lọ ṣe lọ́dọ̀ Igbo nítorí pé àwọn ẹgbẹ́ tá a bá ṣe agreement lọ́dọ̀ ọmọ Ìlọrin yóò kò ní bá wa ṣe ní pé outright sale ẹ̀ tó wá kó wọlé ẹ̀ kò lọ ta. Now tó bá jẹ́ pé leasehold ni irú ìyá olóṣùn àbí ọlọ́ṣùn yẹn sìn tí lease ẹ̀ bá ti tán for what she has done ní grant regrant kẹ́gùn ẹ̀ máa lọ èyí tó ṣe bí tó ìlú òfẹ́. Then option B is what I call Ijebu style. Why do I call it Ijebu style? Those of us who are familiar with Southwest, in Ijebu, you cannot buy land if you are not an Ijebu person. The same thing in Arochukwu or Abia, you cannot buy land. You cannot. Then, if you go to Obia in Bayelsa too, you cannot buy outrightly. The same thing in Azikoro. So all these areas, they don't sell land outrightly for this old only. So the only problem is pé àwọn ò lè ṣe yẹn bí because ìlú wa ti di state capital. We want economic development and we want investment. So the issue of not selling at all may not work. Now the third option is what I call the use of legislation. When I say the use of legislation, that is to use the instrumentality of the law to protect our interests. How do we do this? If we look at the Land Use Act, by virtue of Section 2 of the Land Use Act, all lands within urban area are in trust. And this trust is vested in the governor of the state. Alhamdulillah, the governor is a stakeholder in the Emirate. Now, if we look at Lagos, by virtue of Section 5, subsection 2 of the Lagos State Land Registration Law, they make sure that every land must be registered. And when you register, there is a designation of a land title registrar, of which every subsequent and succeeding registrar has been indigene of Lagos. Any application that is against the interest of Lagos, he will not register the title. He has the discretion. He has that power. So I want us to look at this. And if we want to look at this, we need all the members of the Emirate in the House of Assembly and all the local government areas. Because under the same Land Use Act, lands outside the urban areas, which are referred to as non-urban, are vested in the local government. And how do we go about it? The governor will need to set up land use allocation committee at state level, while at the local government level, there will be land advisory committee that will be advising on which one to acquire, which one to release, and which one to approve. So this will be a sort of protection. And for us to have our way, I have decided, because we'll see time, to combine option A and C. By combining option A and C, option A is leaseholding. Option C is to have legislation to protect and guide us. So I have here what I call a draft land policy for Ilorin Emirate. So this draft land policy, if we go through it, we will need all stakeholders' commitment. Ìkíní, gbogbo wa la máa jọ sọ pé ohun wa kà ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Because government náà ní challenges tiwọn, ìlú náà ní tiwa. Àwọn alágbó àmọ́gàjì tó wà closer to the lands wọ́n ní tiwọn. So gbogbo wa la gbọ́dọ̀ agree we want to go about this policy. Let me just quickly summarize the outline of the policy. I said after the other listing, the Ilorin Emirate land policy shall have the following characteristics and values for the people of Ilorin Emirate. There shall be no freehold land transaction within the Emirate. Any land, dear land, to be alienated shall be by leasehold. Such leasehold shall be for a maximum period of 35 years, subject to regrant for a period of 10 years. Any land transaction involving a built property shall be for leasehold. Such leasehold shall be for a period between 10 years and 35 years maximum. So I distinguish between bare land and land with a building. Any land transaction shall be supported with written agreement, and such an agreement must be signed by all principal members of the family for its validity. Ìlọrin nítorí pa máa sọ pé owó òfìlẹ̀ nígbà tí mọ́gàjì ti sọ ṣe nǹkan tó lọ́dún mú wá díẹ̀ fún, we have to contravene that principle if we want to follow this, because mọ́gàjì alone cannot transfer title. He must involve all principal members of the family to convey a valid conveyance. Then I said any builder, is very technical. Any building to be alienated in leasehold where that building falls within the areas contained in the second schedule shall not be for more than 20 years lease. Under that second schedule, we have areas within and comprising Balogun Alanomu, Balogun Ajikobi, Balogun Fulani, Balogun Gabari, Mogaji Are, Taiwo Oke, Taiwo Sale, Oko Erin, up to Méjìlá, Afon, Ogondoroko, Bodisaju, Malete, Eyekorin, Okeoyi, Okeose, Poli, and Tanke. So these are specific things. Then the next one said, any transaction either by way of letting, assignment, transfer, or lease loan, or otherwise involving existing building within the areas contained in third schedule of this policy shall require the consent of the Ilorin Emirate Council on the recommendation of the IEDBU. What are the areas in this schedule? Agaka, Baboko, Surulere, Okealoko, Ojoba up to Nyogi, Balogun Fulani, and Balogun Alanomu up to Ipata, Isale Oja up to Pakata roundabout, Idiakwe up to Oloje, Isale Aloko up to Alikma, and ending at Gerialimi. These areas, if you want to alienate, you must seek the consent and recommendation of those two. And on validity of the existing one, I said any transfer, assignment, outright sale involving built-up properties within the areas contained in third schedule prior to the passing of this policy and proclamation of the relevant laws, that is the law at the state level and at the local government level, shall be invalid to the extent of contravention of this policy where the beneficiary or beneficiaries are not natives of the Ilorin Emirate. Some people will say it's discrimination. So be it. So be it. Because we have to protect our inheritance. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Well, I've introduced my senior brother. Let me conversely now congratulate my junior brother, the new and baby-faced senator that is representing our constituency. Mustafa, congratulations and best wishes. And of course, my Balogun from Balogun, Shehu. Okay, just to go to the point, I thank the members for giving me this opportunity. And I've listened to my boss. I've worked under Dr. Samuel before. But with respect and deliberately, I tend to have a slightly different perspective. First of all, I've listened very well, and I'm not surprised because I know the quality of Dr. Samuel. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue we are discussing here affects all of us, affects our future. But we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. If you have problem, you have to think without the box or think out of the box for you to find a solution. The problems have been well analyzed by Dr. Sambu. The truth of it is that what we are witnessing in Ilorin Emirate is not totally alien. We are witnessing urbanization. Ilorin has 4 flights every day. Maybe with the hard work of our neighbor governor, Ilorin is seen as the most secured city, or Kwara State as the most secured state in northern Nigeria or Nigeria. The effect of that is that you're going to attract a lot of outsiders to come to your community. And if you're talking of investment and you want to grow your economy, you have to allow outsiders to come. On what terms are they going to come? How are you going to engage them that is beneficial to your community? You want employment, you want multiplier effect, you want to drive your IGR. At the same time, you don't want outsiders to come. It is not going to work. What we are witnessing now is what happened between the Arabs and the Israelites, and the problem is still persisting till today. Now, how do we go around it? I read an article in Harvard Business Review, and people from Harvard, they came to Nigeria, they went to Harvard market, they wanted to study the model the Indigo have been using to drive economy and to prosper. They don't have 2 heads, they only have 1 head. They came to this place and they're doing very well. Ilorin Emirate has done very well in the legal profession. We have late AJ Frasak, we have Justice Salva Begore, we have late Justice Akabinigi. I am a beneficiary of that, being inspired by generation. In academics, Professor Oba, Dr. Isukulawa did well in JAM. Professor Nanda is doing very well. We are lucky we have 2 or 3 governors that have been from Kwara State and they've improved. The next thing all of us need to look at now, from now onward, is entrepreneurship. How are we going to drive this economy? How are we going to make sure that the same business the woman comes here to do and read the business? Me and you can do it. A lot of us are doing our retirement. I will have money. What are we doing with our money? The same opportunities they come that they exploit here. What stops us from doing it? Where we are here, we're enjoying it, but it's not owned by another man. Why? We need to think differently. The future of today and tomorrow is entrepreneurship. In our schools, we need to study entrepreneurship. All of us need to see what are able men doing that is making them to thrive, and we're not there. That is the way for us to go. And we have what I call local capital flight. Almost everybody here wants to set up a business. You're not going to set it up in Ilorin. You can't set it up in Abuja or Lagos, and you come here and you complain. The same people man will come here and do the business and make the money. If you go to Kano, Dangote and Abu Samad, with respect, I've consulted for Abu Samad before. They're not different from all of us. It's just that they think differently, and that is what we all need to do. Beyond complaining, if you know that a land because we are being unfair to the family or the community that they have a land or they want to lease a property, and you are telling them not to do that. It's just like for you to have a stock. Your father bought shares and gave to you, and you are telling the owners of those who inherited those shares that they should not sell they should not sell in the capital market. They should bring it to your community because of one primordial sentiment. It's not going to work. There are single-digit loans everywhere that all of us, maybe as long as we can get, and use that to drive the economy of Ilorin and buy this land because of what we are discussing at the studio. There's a land at Bala. It's so many hectares. We had that is it pastor or referend or Edeko of Living Faith or whatever wants to buy it. I went to the community. The community said, look, we're going to sell this land anyway. We can give you a discount, but we are going to sell the land because we need the money. They want to send their kids to school. They want to marry additional wives. I don't know where I want it. They want to enjoy everything that life offers. What we do, myself and 3 or 4 people, sincerely speaking, we raised 100 million naira to buy the land. It's not because we need the land. The land is still valid, but we felt that it's time for us to be counted. It's time for us to show responsibility. It goes beyond with respect. All of us sitting down and lamenting and coming with some very draconian legislations or rules to force to reverse entrepreneurship. And what we are trying to, so what we all need to do is that we all need to get involved. We all need to embrace entrepreneurship. We should stop crying foul, but wake up. There are too many endless opportunities. Every day that I wake up, there's nothing in Kwara State or Nigeria that if you look critically very well, there are no opportunities there. We should not be a case where you live in a village, before you finish exploring the opportunity there, you say that the place is hot. We blame, when things don't go right, we blame everybody. It's my stepmother, it's the weather, it's the government, but we need introspection. What all of us need to do is not to blame an evil man, but for us to look inwards and see how these begging opportunities that the evil man will come here to explore, or even the young guys around us, they say, I think the pharmacy man, to live or something, is buying land every day. Where is he getting his money from? What does he do with the land? What is stopping me and you? So, ladies and gentlemen, please, because of time, we all need to wake up and get involved and take the begging opportunities here and stop blaming the women. Thank you very much.
Kwara Police in Kwara North, and it's the fact that our members are looking for land to develop. There's a special agricultural processing zone being financed by Islamic Development Bank. It's a $60 million project. We're looking for land we found land in Malete. We're looking for 10,000 hectares. We only got about 3,000 hectares. So, if you go to Malete, even Kwasu's land has been encroached upon and has been sold. Some of you will see that just before Salah, there were issues at the Polytechnic. Yeah. The land at the Polytechnic, about 30-40% has been sold. People have encroached on it. So the issue is very, very embedded. We need to really look at our land use and urban spaces. We're also looking at passing urban laws. It is development control. There's no law, development control law in the state. So we started pushing that, drafting that, and so someone's document will be useful to us in drafting that, passing the document through the state house assembly. Now, what does that entail? It's land use. Cherokee opens his house. Legally, we can't stop a nightclub springing up. We can stop them through the Ministry of Environment, Noise Pollution. That's simple, but that means you just have to turn down the music, but nothing that stops them from making it a hotel or whatever they want to use it for. But the law regularly would certainly change things. those of us that grew up in the Ilorin, realize that when we were growing up, once you pass Baboko to the airport, commercial activities that were there were very few. From Baboko, if I can recall, after the Baptist church, then the Jerusalem family went to bake bread from one later there. And then there was the Queen's Lieutenant Hospital. From there to the airport after that, we can see how commercial activities have sprung up. The epicenter of iron and steel now is a battery area. People have sold their traditional homes, family land, to these commercial houses. So how do we mitigate that? Well, it's about development control. So if we zone an area to say it's purely residential, then you have to determine what sort of commercial activities will be in that zone. So we can still do that and say you cannot develop, you cannot have iron and steel on steel area. But in doing that, you also have to create a special area, maybe around where Coca-Cola factory is, to say it's iron and steel area and so on. So we'll look into the law, send a bill to the House of Assembly on zoning and development control. So that's how we'll be able to save what we call our heritage and traditional sites by passing laws to zone them. So the balance we'll have is just basically using the law to protect ourselves. Being in government, we have to be guided by the Constitution and the law. It's a challenge to change the Constitution or do things that goes against the Constitution. And then where most of us argument comes in is that if we go back some of the things Professor Campbell said, investors will really come in. For example, we are building a sugar factory in Kwara again. You tell him he has only 30 years. He won't put $300 million down for a 30-year lease. So, mining too. Serious mining involves a lot of money. It's a look at what the lease is hard. They won't invest in Kwara because also, basically, you need to strike a balance between, for example, aid Mustafa and what Chiraki also said. So, the discussion continues, but it should not be a discussion that has no end. We have to set timelines for ourselves to see that the first thing, let's pass a law, development control. And let's put all hands on deck. From that development control, we begin to mitigate things and make sure we do the right thing. Ideally, you can't stop anybody, someone who is not on edge of bankruptcy from selling their land. And by putting restriction to it, we devalue the land by making it unattractive to investors who pay top money for the land. So, like I said, we need to find a balance, and that is what we do. I feel, like I said, I've been working on it, continue to push them and making sure the right thing is done. Well, thank you once again for that.